Hey, and welcome to the Inforunners, day 40, episode 45. Today is day 5 of the sale for Misc. I'm Execute, and I'm joined by Hayes up above.
And yeah,
Ah,
this is my favorite day actually. Misc is my favorite
yeah,
manufacturer. So like they may have
awesome.
been pretty low on some of the content because they only really showed off what 2 or 3 ships max. Did they show the Razor briefly? I think they did.
No, they
No,
didn't.
they didn't.
I'm
No.
kind of surprised we didn't see that actually. Especially because we saw it during CitizenCon. It's one we speculated about yesterday that we'd see that. I was kind of surprised we didn't, to be honest.
Mm, mm.
But I did like what we did see. We got some cool little tidbits. Even the Prospector had a little surprise there for me with the scanning kit. I wasn't aware that it had any scanning ability. So I now see it having a bit of value. You can see it going out there and almost assisting the Orion, or also being still on its own, being completely viable, which I thought was kind of cool.
It,
But
it,
anyway, do you want to start out with your CC? Oh, you give
yeah.
your opinion and then go into your CC you got after that then.
Yeah, let's go into the CCUs. While they may have only shown off 2 ships, we have a lot of details on CCU recommendations for today. Misc has a lot of ships that are going into production for flight ready, or expensive ships which you can get very good deals on and secure for nothing more than $10. So going into the first one is the Prospector, believe it or not. The Prospector is coming in at 3.0. I fully expect this to go up between 10 to 15, maybe even $20. This is an advanced starter ship with a solid profession sort of focus. $140, I doubt it will be anywhere near that. Once it goes to flight ready, it should match something like a Sabre or a Super Hornet base price. And so the CCU we recommend for this to date is, yeah?
That's a quick question. Is the Hornet Ghost readily available in the store?
Yes, Hornet Ghost is always
Okay.
available in the store.
To give a side recommendation, and I know this is your guide, not mine, but you also can do the DUR, the Misc DUR, or the
The
Freelancer
reason I
DUR
haven't
at the.
picked the Dur is it's not
Okay,
flight
yep,
ready.
cool.
So like, where
It's
they
not
put the
flurry,
price up
yeah,
on the
and make it.
Cutlass,
Yeah,
there's a
that's true.
risk
But it is.
involved. And so that's
Okay,
why
okay, yeah.
if you choose the
Yep.
Hornet Ghost, which already went through its rework, and the Super Hornet had a price, but the rest of them stayed the same, that's the most risk-free choice that we can make for the jump. Because I know they're the
Cool,
same
no worries.
price, but there's some reasoning behind the madness.
So this one's been released and the other one hasn't, and the other
Yes,
thing don't. Yeah, that
exactly.
makes total sense. Cool. No, I understood. That's why I'm asking the question. And I'm sure there might have been someone out there that I wanted to know that as well. So yeah, keep going.
So anyway, it's a Hornet Ghost to the Prospector. That's a $15 CCU. It's because it's going 125 through to 140. If you buy the CCU now, you can then use it to either buy a Prospector or use it the price increase to discount another higher ship. Like say if it goes up $15, you can use that to discount a Super Hornet or a Banner Defender. Or some other bigger ship. Depends what you want. But personally, I have 4 of these CCUs in my hangar already, and I plan to put them towards things like a Terrapin or a Banner Defender, which I still have a CCU for. So this is a useful CCU, and it's one that's going to be coming out very soon. The next recommendation is a very similar ship, the Misc Razor. Whilst it's not coming out in 3.0, it is coming out in the next patch after, probably 3.1. Put the mic a little bit closer. There we go. Is that better? Let's hope so. Anyway, the Misc Razor goes for $135. The same sort of jump, you go from a Hornet Ghost through to a Misc Razor. That's a $10 CCU. I do not recommend keeping this one for a price increase because the Prospector will be more likely increasing in price more than the Razor, because the Razor is priced around where the other racing ships are, like the 350R as a competitor. I think it will not raise much up in price, plus it will come in the patch later. So it is much better to get, if you're looking at price speculation, the Hornet Ghost to Prospector CCU is a better bet because you'll be able to use it sooner, and it should increase by price by a larger amount. But if you are looking for a Misc Razor and you just want to keep that little CCU in your hangar, cheap $10 CCU is a pretty good bet. Just to wait around and see if the ship is worth having.
I just want to apologise. The postie rocked up, so he had a parcel for me. Sorry.
It's okay. The Gemini to Hull D is the next one to recommend. this is a $350 ship, and the Gemini, a flight-ready ship. Again, we've used this one a few times. Going up to Hull D is only a $10 CCU. This allows you to pretty much buy a Hull D without investing the other $340. And perhaps invest in that later. This allows you to wait until the Hull D is actually fully released, which might actually happen late this year or early next year. So like buying this $10 CCU now is like pretty much being able to speculate if is that a ship you want. Well, you can find out when it finally goes flight ready, but you really have to speculate with a simple $10, which is cheap. The next one is the Endeavour. For all those Endeavour fans, this is the same as the Hull D. Gemini to Endeavour, it's $10. You lock in that price as long as you have that $10 CCU in your hangar all the way until release. Because as I said, Gemini is a flight-ready ship. It's already been sold. It will not move in price. Whilst the Endeavour, whilst maybe not next year, maybe sometime late the next year after that, will increase in price. But $10 is not much to sacrifice just to keep in your hangar, just to keep your options open. It's a good CCU. And that's all for CCUs, but of note is the Endeavour modules are on sale. And those are a good buy.
You think?
Yeah. You're getting some, aren't you?
Yeah, I literally just brought some, but they just don't feel... Oh, they just feel so expensive. I brought 3 modules and they cost me, was it $210? Like, it's just like... that's almost what I paid for the ship, to be honest, with how I did my upgrades. So that's, yeah. But hey, I got my drug lab. Yeah, hey. So yeah, it's an interesting ship, that one. I'm kind of keen to see how it goes.
I think the Endeavour is one of those ships where you don't have to collect them all. You should just pick out the very singular ones that you have an interest in. Because if you buy the Endeavour naked, what are you going to do with it? It's sort of like if you have like 1 or 2 modules at minimum, then you can then put that ship to use and earn money and possibly buy the other modules in game later. It's one of those sort of ships.
The modules don't have LTI at the moment. People in chat are just asking that. They come with the insurance, but it just means you don't have to earn them in game.
And 5 years insurance is a lot. You know, just how long is that going to take before you run out of that?
Yeah, it's 60 months insurance, so it's still a fair slog of time. Look, I kind of look at it like this. You could, only 2 ways. You can either buy them through a sale, or the only way I'd ever recommend a naked Endeavour, and I probably don't recommend this highly, is if you have other ships to earn the modules. But if the Endeavour's your only ship, you definitely want to have something with it so you can use it.
The other thing you've got to really consider in terms of value, these modules are at the original price. The original LTI Endeavour modules are worth 3 times the price on the grey market. Is LTI worth that much? No, it's not. And these 6-month insurance are absolute steal. Don't think you're going to get LTI on the grey market without paying through the nose.
I can tell you now, even the ones from last year's sale, a lot of those have sold out on the grey market.
Yeah, they're popular.
It doesn't take no genius to go have a look. Yeah, so it's just I guess the thing I'm having with a lot of these sales, and this is probably a topic we can talk about briefly, is just how, and this is like a friend. I'm going to be honest. A friend of ours, I'm not going to mention who it is, but you know who it is. Kind of got really frustrated last night because he had some issues go along, and I'm kind of I'm starting to realize through other people, and not so much myself, but through other people, just how frustrating it can be. How they're locking stuff down so early, and expecting people to put out great amounts of money without kind of knowing what the ships do gameplay-wise. And I think, I know this sounds kind of negative, but I don't kind of like how they're locking stuff down when we don't know what the gameplay is. I think they need to at least show us the gameplay before they lock stuff down. What's your opinion on that?
The whole idea of us doing this CCU guide system is allowing people to keep their options open without investing huge amounts of money. I mean, these Gemini to $350 ships or $60, you know, like Gemini to $400 ships. This is like spending a minimum amount of money you can afford now in order to speculate and see if that's the ship you want when it gets released, without investing the full $350 or $400. And so, you know, that's why we're doing this series, because again, they want you to invest so much money. You should use less money more intelligently and smartly in order to then, when the time comes and this ship becomes a reality and flyable, like several years down the track or maybe a little sooner, then you can make your decision when you actually have something more tangible to work with. And that's what this whole series of CCU guides is about.
I think we kind of often forget how, you know, this is a video game, and let's be realistic, most US video games are around the $60 mark. Looking at one ship, that's, you know, already, what, 5-6 times what any video game will ever be in price. And then we talk, like, I know people like yourself and me that have quite large fleets compared to most people. We've spent 100 times over what the game's worth. But yeah, I'm about the backing the game and supporting the game and getting off the ground, but at the same time, the real drive for most people is going to be the ship and the fleets and kind of setting themselves up for the long game when it comes to this game. So
people in Star Citizen, they fall in love with these ships, and to them, they have this dream of being and crewing these ships. You know, the ships are just as much as the game, I think it is. You know, this is the passion and the love.
Yeah. So I guess the only counter to that is, like, and I've said this a few times now, is when your fleet gets to the size. I know I've talked to you about this, and Algrid, who was on here yesterday, we've talked about how our fleet's now at a size we're now talking about orgs. We're no longer talking about ourselves. So we've probably got to the ridiculous stage where other people have probably still got a fair way to go to catch up to us. But I still think as soon as you go over that $60 value, they need to give you a bit more flexibility. And I know some YouTubers have been talking about making it so you can buy any ship at any time. I can understand the sales and the trying to make hype and all that, and I don't have a problem with that, but I don't like the restriction. The one thing I used to really like about this sale was it allows you to shift around your stuff. So
chop and change.
And even if even if it was next week, like a couple of years ago, like so after the sale, I knew, worst case scenario, I've just got to wait a year and I'll be able to fix it.
Yeah.
But now I feel
anymore. If I melt a ship because I want another ship, I get penalized because the way the old prices have worked, I don't get the discounted ship anymore. It's
and
it
I've heard some
painful
interesting
to even consider.
Yeah, I heard a really interesting one that was probably the most one I didn't believe was someone brought a ship with a coupon, and they melted the ship, and then when they went to unmelt it, they hadn't been given the coupon back or anything, but it had gone back to the original price. So they completely lost the whole value of their coupon. But apparently you can concierge that and they'll fix it. So
oh, really?
As long as they fix it, no problem. Yeah, so apparently it's fixable.
I might have lost a coupon. That'd be nice.
Yeah, so... Yeah, I just want... I think CIG need to go, yeah, we are about money raising, but at the same time, we have to do right by our community. Honestly, I think there's a really much better way they could do this system. I think the big thing that comes about with this system is that because you can buy a ship cheaper and then later it increases in price, they need to program into that for it to take out that ability, as in you don't gain the value. So they need to program in that to give an example of the Banus, how you had a 250 Banu and a 350 Banu, that whatever the prices that you buy that Banu at, and I know you're going to lose your discountability here, but it's going to remove a lot of issues, is it stays at 250. So if you then do want to upgrade it to a 350 ship, no matter what, you have to pay that $100 difference.
Yeah,
if they put that in, that would fix so many issues.
That makes a lot of sense. Like, you know, what you paid for the ship is what the ship is worth, but you had the ship at the older price. But if you want to upgrade to a now more expensive ship, the value you can put towards that is only what you paid, not the new value of the actual ship. That way, you still
the
gain the advantage of having that old ship, but if you want the new ship, you have to sacrifice that.
Yeah, and what they will gain from that, and what they're trying to do, is the stability
Certainty.
of people not switching ships. Yeah, and that's what they want. So I was thinking about this a great deal over the last couple of hours, well, not when I was asleep, but you know what I mean, before I went to sleep. And it's the only thing that I could come back to. But a lot of people are going to hate it because this being able to buy chips cheaper and then, you know, using the discounted chips thing will go away. But that's what CIG want. They don't want people getting a $500 ship for half the price or whatever. And there are some ridiculous cases where I've seen ridiculous prices like that. And that's what they're trying to avoid, because there's people that are doing the right thing and there are people that are exploiting the system. So, okay, that's my rant over.
I suppose we should get on with the actual content for the show.
Yeah. All right. I just had to get it off my chest.
No, it's good. I think it's a good argument. I think the problem is that they are so far into this old system. If they changed it suddenly like that, even though I think it's the right thing to do, and I don't think they have the right PR focus, the community management, to be able to sell it without
agreed.
huge
we talked about
backlash.
this
Because I'm afraid they're not skilled enough to hold a conversation with the community about a big change and then to push it through. Every time I've seen them do it, they've forced it and then reacted after the fact, as opposed to reacting and explaining and holding a conversation and then making it appear as if they've come to a middle ground where people can understand what they've actually done. That doesn't ever happen, but it could.
No, I'm not laughing at you. I'm like it's sounding a lot like when I have a discussion with my landlord. Like, they think they know what's best about the house here, but they don't live here. And every time I say, you should probably try it this way, this is the best of both worlds. And every time they do it their way, it utterly fails, and they always end up doing it my way, but it costs them 3 times as much because they've tried to do it a particular way and have to change.
They're stubborn. It's our house.
Yeah,
you just live here.
yeah, pretty much. You know, like, so we know about the ships because we're really into it, and they just built them. You know, like, so they don't use them or want to use them almost to that point. So so it's just interesting. I know we've gone off on a tangent there, but I can see there's a few questions and discussion pop up about it, so I can see that there are others are interested in it as well. But let's move on.
Prospector. They showed off the Prospector in all its glory. I mean, we hadn't really seen too many new things that they hadn't shown before, but they did talk a little more about it, and it was... Did they show it flying in game? Like, I think that some of that was new, but 80% recycled footage and maybe just a little bit of new footage.
I was kind of surprised. Like, they actually mentioned at the start of the show, they mentioned Endeavour, and I got really excited. I was like, yeah, awesome. And they didn't show shit. And I was like, that was such a bait and switch. Like the Prospector, I think the real big thing I took out of that, as I said earlier, was the fact that it can scan. I didn't know it had scanners at all. Am I just crazy, or did you know it had scanners?
I knew it had scanners. Yeah. It's. I've always known that this was going to be a great ship. I think this was a ship that will see a lot of love, and you know, it's a beautiful piece of design. It's a beautiful piece of work, and it's one of the few starter ships. I mean, you could call this an advanced starter because it gets you into a profession at the lowest level. Because this is the sort of ship that even after you want to move on to bigger ships, I still see people saying, "Oh, have you got a Prospector? We'll take this along with a bunch of other bigger ships, and it will work in tandem." It has that synergy that most smaller ships lack, which doesn't allow them to slot into and synergize into more high-end gameplay. And this is one of those ships that does.
Yeah, it's funny enough. Like, I think I've told you this before. It's my bottom what's the word I keep using? I always forget it. It's not going to be a ship that's ship that's not useful, as in it won't become redundant. That's what I was looking for. No. So in my opinion, it's at that lowest price point. Like, most other ships underneath this are going to become redundant at some point. Yeah. I think with the, as I said, the Reliance
see people move on to Orions, right? But why not take a couple of Prospectors with you? they will
Yeah,
help
exactly.
scan out the area while taking out very detailed pockets, and they still synergize with the Orion,
Kind of like
working in a group.
scout mining.
Yeah.
Would you say? Yeah, kind of like scout mining. So yeah. I also think the cool thing about it is that even if you do have a big org, and what if you get on that one day and you're just alone? It's one of those ships you can do something on your own.
Yeah, take out on like, you know, oh, there's no one on. I think I'll go out and do some solo mining. You know, it's like
there's few ships I can think of. The only other one I can really think of is maybe the Terrapin, where you can use it in an org and you can use it on your own. I'm trying to think of another one. The other one would probably be the Reliant Scene. Like I said, that the Reliant Scene is in a really unique spot there at the moment. But if they make another science ship, it might go the way of the Dodo as well. Yeah. So. Yeah. What else did we see? Hull C. Man, I was really impressed to see that was in engine and flying. Obviously, we didn't see an engine in folding, so it's probably still got a bit of work to go in that department. But yeah. What was your take on the Hull C so far?
Beautiful. They've made some changes. It's grown in size. I'm looking at it when they did the side by side. It was about 20% to 30% longer and a little bit bigger. Not huge like some of these other ships, right? It's still ballpark. I loved how they integrated the engines to actually have interior, so they could use it for more rooms and stuff and make use of the space.
I love the internals with all the pipes and stuff like that, and like it almost looked really thematic because you'd have the pipes of the engines kind of coming down and going to where they need to go. It had a real realism factor. The only one I question at all, and really it doesn't hurt, is the balcony thing on the back, and that's like, oh, we had the space to play with, so they just chucked it in. I think that's kind of cool, but I don't think it's a real thing you'll ever use much. Like, unless you're like on the back with a railgun trying to shoot a guy that's following you, but like I can't really see that happening too much.
I think it's useful because like if you stop to do repairs or you need to unload the cargo, and I think being able to visually see out the sides, like they said, for the engines and the cargo to check for damage, having that visibility, I think it's all important. It leads to, it's a well-designed ship. You know, it's obviously not just you can only get in through this one hatch. I suppose that I was in the assumption that it had two, one on each side, but maybe I'm wrong in that regard. As in, do you reckon, well, maybe it's both. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see on that until we see more footage. But I just assumed it was symmetrical. And it did have two. It did have two doors on the airlock, so I assumed there was one door in and then. I really want to see the underside to see what the turret is on the underside looks like. But the one on the top, see how they've raised it more than the original concept. It's got excellent coverage over the back.
Yeah, it had heaps better coverage, as you're implying.
It shows that they're really working on those turrets to give a better sort of, because it could really have it close to a 260-degree firing arc. I could see there, which is impressive for a Rio.
The other thing that I found kind of interesting and kind of promising was how positive they were about the ship pipeline when it came to Misc. Like, he was like, "Oh, it's nothing. Like, they just come in and we just munch them through." So that makes me think that once this one's online and they get that, the telescope seems really complicated, but it makes me think once they nail that down, they'll be able to nail it into the others real quick. And obviously the A and B, it's probably not quite as complicated.
I completely agree. I think they are going to, once this ship has been put into flight ready, they're going to spit out the other four variants like they're nothing. I give them like 9 months to get the whole D, E, A, and B out. I think they can do it because there's no new art, textures, and assets. There's the spindle system should just be upsized, literally. All that tech is already laid down. Even the sounds and a lot of the lighting will be cross-compatible between the different ships. All of the tech art and based... oh, there's your cat.
He was on my lap that whole time. There's fur flying everywhere here, don't worry.
But the thing is, they're going to spit these out so fast it's going to be scary. And this is great news for us. This is... I'm looking forward to this so much.
The only slowdown, I guess, is going to be building the internals for each one. So the A and B pretty much have a cockpit. That's nothing. So, but the D and the E are obviously going to have different interiors. So that's the only slowdown at all.
And mess halls, and bigger recreational maybe, and
that's right.
You're right.
But they've got all that art.
They've got all the art. Yeah, it's like
so it's just modularly putting it together, and it'll pick up speed. So it's going to be really.
Yep.
Really interesting to see how quickly they spin up, because, excuse me, using that as a kind of a test bed, so to speak, it's going to show you how quickly other ones spin up. Now, we've seen it with Aegis. We know they do Aegis fairly quickly, but we've also seen them stuff up some of the Aegis ships, and they're going to have to go back and redo them, like the Warden, which I'm pretty sure from what we've seen now, because they seem to have dropped back.
It sounded like they've gone back and said, no, we need to redesign this because maybe this doesn't. Yeah. And I fully understand that the Warden, the Harbinger, like for instance, it doesn't fall in step with other bombers anymore. It's like it's seriously out of its depth. And so I fully understand they need to redesign the whole torpedo aspect, perhaps. And maybe I know Warden fans want them to revisit the actual Warden. I would not hold my breath there. They're doing it because of a need, not because of an art standpoint.
I'm hoping it's because we've complained about. Usually, when we really complain about stuff, they really address it. And I look, fundamentally, I know we talked about the Harbinger and that yesterday, but fundamentally, and I feel this. I want it to go back to the original concept where it was a ship that was cramped and you crawl around in, but for some reason they've made it a ship that you've got to walk around in, and that's why it's increased in size.
NPC metrics. Their systems are not flexible for cramped and movement and their animations. They just can't. Yeah.
Have it, They can't have AI in it. It's a real shame though, because if you look at the Starfarer, you can actually climb up on the top of Starfarer, and that cramped space, you get a feeling of what the Vanguard would be like. And maybe given time, they might be able to make the Vanguard smaller. Maybe the second time around, when they release a new version of the ships, as they've stated they're going to do, and the AI is improved and the AI can cramp, maybe they'll go back to that cramp one. But that's that's after release, and that'll be a couple of years after release if they ever do go back to the Vanguard. But fingers crossed, we've just got to probably wait a long time. I'd like to be able to do it, but there's a lot of systems, like you've said, that would have to come online to make it viable.
What I noticed is the Hull C is almost actually near completion. They're just going through some of their tack art animations, maybe like landing and some of the flight-based stuff. But most of it seems to be in place. They just do little bits around the edges, and then it's sort of like it's just missed the 3.0 patch. I mean, I think there's a lot of ships that are almost ready, right? But they don't want to rush them into 3.0 because they want to try and get it out. They've got a schedule to release, and just shows you how many ships have missed the deadline, and we're going to flood of ships coming in 3.1 whenever that next patch is.
I almost think they'll save them and stagger release the ships, so at least every patch has got at least 1 or 2 ships in it, just to make it interesting. But with the Hull C, I think the thing I did notice in-game today, they didn't have the telescopic thing in-game. So that, to me, was... If they'd shown that...
they didn't show that off,
I would have almost thought that thing was ready. But they didn't. And so it makes me think that really we've only really got the external part of the ship in-game and not the telescope and not the internal. So, I guess it's hard to call where it is at the moment, but I'd say it's somewhere between halfway towards the end, somewhere in there. But yeah, definitely in the after the white box, and then moving into final art for sure. Yeah.
Did we cover like the lack of other ships like the Freelancer and the Reliant?
No, we didn't. We skipped over that, but I did kind of touch on the Endeavour because I was really disappointed about the Endeavour.
Yeah, I wanted to see the Misc Alliance. Like, I know they've done shit all work on it, but they could have mentioned it, or talked about the direction where because the core is like currently a bit lacking in the flight model, or what it is. I wish they'd gone over it.
Would have been nice to know when they're going to get around to doing the variants. Like, at the very least, I would have liked to heard about that.
And the Freelancer. They said they'd started work on the Max. Like, my God, why didn't they show us some of what they think the Max is going to be? I would have loved that.
And the Misery as well, and the Der. We could have used all those. So yeah, I'm kind of surprised. I just have to wait and see again. But I'm like, one of the things I've said multiple times now on the stream is I really want to start to see them do live streams or some kind of footage with each of those patches that now come every 3 months, and I think they will, because I'm really sick of that dry. Like, from the end of the holidays live stream that'll be on the 19th or whatever. It's usually just before Christmas anyway. From there to Gamescom, nothing really large. It's just all ATVs. And before the ATVs started this year, there was nothing.
Yeah,
there was dry spells every year.
Yeah. I think that they're definitely going to do a content patch at the end of the first quarter or during second quarter sometime, because they have to. There's all these ships that are going to be practically flight ready, and they said they want to do whatever's ready. Well, once 3.0 is out, they're going to say quarterly release, even if we've only got a little bit. It's not going to be a huge content patch. We'll just put out what's ready. And, you know, they can do that, as you said, the live sale. They can put all those new ships that are go flight ready, go on a sale. They can try and focus less on a end of year financial and try and stagger it over the year 4 times a year. You know, I really think they're going to move into that. It just makes so much sense.
Like you were saying about the ships, like you reckon a lot of them will come out in 3.1. I'd almost rather them stagger them. Like I'd rather, like in your head, think about this long term. Would you rather get like 10 ships in one hit, or would you rather get 2 or 3 every
10 ships
batch?
in one hit. Give me my Idris and the Javelin and everything all in one go. Like 3.1, yeah, Hull C, Reclaimer, Javelin, Idris, everything. Just push it out there, and like I can play with these ships for the whole year then. Don't give me this staggered release crap. I just want to play with them. Once those ships are in game, I will just lose myself playing 3.0 or 3.1 and just yeah, I don't have to care about development anymore because like I'm too busy playing the PU. Okay, that's my reasoning.
I guess I prefer to be a bit more bottle fed, so it's consistent news rather than large splurts, if that makes sense. I'm not a big fan of them holding stuff off. Like the way I think about Squadron 42 is it's going to come and it's going to be freaking awesome when it gets here, but then the hype is going to die relatively quickly. I would have rather small level hype consistently than just this one big wave that's going to die rather quickly. That's my feeling. A lot of this stuff.
The problem is, what patch are we up to by the time Squadron 42 comes out? If it's 3.2 or 3.3, I think we'll be right, because there's enough iteration and new content in the professions that we should just be too busy having fun to bother with this hype after Squadron 42. I mean, like, there's going to be enough content to that we're not going to get a burnout, we're not going to get bored, we're not going to be like, oh god, I can't play 2.6 anymore type problems, okay? Like, I think we're finally going to get to the point where there's enough content and a big enough sandbox that none of that will matter anymore.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the real takeoff from after 3.0 is the gameplay. I like if they're only adding one, like it depends how fast they can add it. If they're adding one gameplay element per patch, I don't see that happening. I think it's too quick. But if they were doing that, man, that'd be amazing.
I think quarterly release schedule, you might see like several professions and multiple game elements added every time. You know, it's I have a fair bit of faith that things are going to speed up. The problem is they're still trying to get this foundation work. 3.0 is the foundation. And after you have that foundation, you can start attaching all those other little bits and pieces and knobs and bobs. We have to get past that point first, and then we can move into quarterly release and like regular small minute updates that will that's when the interesting stuff actually gets added, as far as I'm concerned.
No, I 100% agree with that. That's just in a nutshell. That's why this has been such a long wait, because they've been talking about the tools and all that and the foundation for years, and I've been in the development side, and it's such a weird thing. Like everything kind of comes together almost at the last minute, but because they've done it in this way with the tools, they're kind of building it away so we can see more sooner. But it's just that there's this drought period because it's such a big game and trying to get it to that level. But once it's done, I'm hoping we see a lot more iteration, especially with the Delta Patcher and the ability to add gameplay. I reckon they're going to be able to do a lot more interaction with the community too. Like, hey, what do you guys think of this? And if we hate it, then they can change it to a different way. I think they need to be a bit brave with the testing of that stuff. Like, so they need to go, hey, so this week we're going to be trying flight mechanics like this, and next week we're going to try flight mechanics like this. Hey, which one did you prefer? That'd be awesome.
I mean, like in the past, whenever they brought something to the fur, just, you know, oh look, here's a golf swing scanning mechanics, and everyone went mad. Well, the thing is, this is because we couldn't play it, we couldn't figure it out. They didn't explain it. It wasn't ready, and it wasn't going to be ready for a long time. But you know, if they can put in these mechanics in the now, and then get the feedback and say, okay, well now we can actually just change it like next week. And now what do you think? And they go, oh, that's better, but maybe we could do a bit more of this. You know, we didn't have the capacity to put out an idea, immediately get feedback, and then iterate on it in the next week. I mean, that's essentially what a Delta patch is capable of doing. We're not quite there yet because we need that 3.0 stable out, but they could start moving into direct feedback, iterative development, where every week there's a patch changelog. Maybe not in PU, but in a PTU base release. And then they gather community sentiment and feedback, on a more, back and forth type of a level. And that's something they have not been able to do up to now.
The golf swing thing is an interesting thing to talk about, actually, because they clearly stated that was hey, that's what we're using for now. We don't really have a proper mechanic in place, so this is our, just to see what it's like mechanic. And people jumped on it and were like, no, that's what they're doing. This is so stupid. It's like they heard it from someone else who didn't give all the facts, and then the community just ran with it. And that's my biggest problem with this community is misinformation, and it happens a lot. And unfortunately, CIG just kind of facepalm and then have to do like full retractions because people have just not listened to the information that's been given. It's like people hear what they want to hear, and unfortunately,
that's normal for humans.
It's made CIG super cautious, and it's like I've told you several times that the stuff that used to be really cool, they used to release everything and talk about everything, and just as time's gone on, they've become a bit more and more locked down.
There was nothing wrong with the way they did it. The problem was they had no way to then communicate on the idea, receive actual ideas, and then iterate it and bring it back to the community, unless they want to talk about scanning mechanics every single week. But with a proper weekly patch schedule, they have the capacity to put something in, see how it's received, and make small iterations week to week. And we're just not in a system that's ready for that yet. And so they put this out, and they had no ability to further communicate with the community and iterate on it, because it wasn't ready. It was not ready to even be seen in Avocado or PTU. We still don't have it, basically. So, I hope they change gears once we start moving on 3.0, going into 3.1, 3.2, where small iterations are the norm. And communication, I think they need to match it with the communication as well, I suppose.
Yeah, I've got a huge feeling that the Avocado and the PU testers will be used to actually test this stuff. I don't think they'll release it to live in testable versions because they won't want people going, what the hell have they done? And like almost every time anything's changed, there's just this explosion and panic.
Well, the whole point of the PU is for people to be able to enjoy playing the game. PTU, you look at all these people screaming, "Oh, it's full of bugs! Oh, the frame rate's low! Oh, this is a piece of crap! Why are they releasing it like this?" You join the test universe, not the public release. What are you complaining about? You're a lab rat, and you're complaining you're getting shot up with drugs. And you don't like it, it's like you can choose not to play and wait for the proper PU release. So it's your choice to push. Yeah. Sorry, go.
I was just going to say, I'd find most of those are probably the people that subscribe to get PTU access early.
Yeah, they probably weren't subscribers, and they just subscribe just for the 1 month to get in. I understand that,
yeah. Yeah, they were expecting it to be highly polished, and it was like it was early access. It's not early access. You're literally testing it and you're helping them. And
it's like pre-alpha. It's not even working.
I haven't done it with you yet, but both Snake and Dyson, I've done testing with already. So we've been doing bug reports and stuff like that. So you find a bug, you just report it straight away, and you ask your friends to have a look at it, so that they can reproduce it. It is literally akin to being a free QA tester, pretty much. Yeah. And if you don't keep up your end of the bargain, so to speak, you'll lose your early access. And I can see a lot of people every wave get chopped because they treat it like it's a game, and it's not a game. You're doing free testing, and in return, you're getting it for early access. It's a quid pro.
You get
a quid pro quo.
You get an early eye view into what it might be. It's at the end of the day, that's what you're getting paid for. You're getting that early access peak, but at the same time, it's not free. They want to give you. They want you to give your time to help them make the game. It's basically the trade-off.
Yeah. All right. Should we move on to questions?
I actually don't think we've had any questions. Everyone's who's been responding to what we've been saying. Yeah.
Maybe we put them to sleep, man. We put them to sleep.
They were all going off about it pretty much. If you have questions now, we'll give you a couple moments to phrase in some questions quickly.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I suppose we could talk about the sale tomorrow. Tomorrow is the Drake sale. Again, this is probably going to be light on content for what they have to show us, because what do they have? The Dragonfly coming in, and that's it?
I think the real thing is going to be the
voting on
the happy hour.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure there's going to be another commercial, because they talked about... Look, I'm going to chuck a speculation out here, like I did this the other day with the land claims. This is my speculation, right? I think they're going to show something about Caterpillar modules, and here's my theory on it, right? We know for a fact that they talked about having a platform in the front of the Caterpillar in the nose that can launch people outright. Now, they did a commercial when they did the Hammerhead, and they said that the guy acting said turns me into a human cannonball or whatever, right?
Oh, he did,
which implies he did. So my thinking, connecting dots, is it could be something about that particular module at the very least in the Caterpillar. So I'm half expecting that we might see some modules for sale for the Caterpillar. Fingers crossed, because that'd be awesome. Yeah. And it is at the last day of the sale, so that would be a good time to have some cool shit, no?
Yeah, I fully agree. I think it's going to be an interesting day either way, because one, you got the voting process. Two, like you said, maybe they will show... Like, I'll put it straight up. Caterpillar modules will be more popular than any sales they ever got off that Hawk. That Hawk, yep. I didn't even think the Hawk did that well with regards to sales. I don't see it having a huge market compared to everything else that is on sale during this anniversary sale. But like, if they put out Caterpillar modules, that will be like $1 million right there. It's like people will just buy it up, you know?
Yeah. Even if it's not all of them, even if it's just say they go, oh, here's our first couple of them, that'll be really cool. Or like, here's just the nose modules or something like that.
People are desperate for these things, you know. They really, really want them. There's a lot of Caterpillar fans. They all want to know what the ship can do. You know. The
other thing, way back when, was they said at the start of the sale that there'd be 2 new ships and lots of extras. So I'm expecting, because the only real extras we've seen at the moment have been small little things, so I'm expecting that this might be the extra thing they were talking about. All right, we've got a couple of questions in chat now, so you want to take it away, Hayes, with those?
Yeah. I'll start with Jay Black. He just went off the screen. This is a highly speculative one. I'll get them.
There's ones before that. Okay, cool, no worries.
This is a highly speculative one, but do you all see synergy with one or two prospectors and the Endeavour? This would imply the certain rare mined ore could be used as inputs into a science or research pipeline, and I'd like that. I'm not sure about research and stuff, but look, it's got a hangar. Those prospectors can both land in that hangar, and potentially you could use half the hangar for cargo storage. So, like, you know, who's to say you can't take the prospectors out past what their normal range is because of refueling? Like, if you have a fuel pod and a hangar, and then you can fill half that hangar with like 4,500 SU and cargo in mining ore, and then those prospectors can use that like a beehive collecting honey. That sounds like a really big operation.
Yeah. My answer to that would kind of be, go have a look at the modules and I was looking at them before because I purchased them. So go have a look at the general research and the science pod, and it pretty much tells you what they're capable of doing. And from that, you'll probably be able to understand, depending on how you configure your Endeavour, how it'll work. I think mining is one area it kind of doesn't work. I'd see it more likely working with something like a Starfarer, because one of the modules is a fuel pod, so you could put fuel pods on it and just use as a gatherer of fuel for the Starfarer, which sounds kind of crazy.
And can take the ore too, so you know it's a double. But I think they'll both work. But we're forgetting the added advantage that the Endeavour would have incredibly long range scanning ability.
Yeah,
so, like,
I think it's not how well things work. Not if things work together. It's how well they work together. So what I'm saying is the Prospector may work with the Endeavour, but I think there's probably better combinations. Does that make a clear answer, or is that confusing as shit?
No.
Do you know what I mean? I just don't think it's the best combo. I think you could get better combos. with the Endeavour. I think, you know, like where I've set up mine is the drug lab, so I'm going to have a cargo bay on mine. I'm probably going to use cutlasses to offload the drugs and move them around. If you look at other ones like the hospital, obviously you'd want to use the Cutlass Red. If you look at some of the other ones like the Collider, you probably have a Collider and a couple of research pods.
I'm hesitant to discount the Prospector idea. I've thought about this before. I like the idea of
So how do you see ore? Because when I look at ore, I don't see ore going into the science vessel. Like the only pod I can think of that would probably even remotely use it. You reckon the hangar just for loading and unloading?
Just for loading and unloading. Yep.
So using it as an extended cargo ship.
Well, just half the hangar in the Endeavour has more cargo capacity than a Starfarer.
Right. Okay. So is it? So it's just like a layaway type thing. Okay. All right. So would it just hold on to it for another cargo ship to come and pick it up? So it's just like a place for
why not take it all the way back to the refinery? I mean, like, you know, you could come in and leave altogether at the same time. Those little pop-up boxes, have extra of those on the Endeavour and just continually pile them up in boxes inside half the hangar, and then when you're ready to go, fly home.
Yeah, I kind of look at the cost and go, I think the Endeavour could be spending its money better elsewhere. I could see it more realistically. If it's just it's literally just a cargo on the Endeavour, I think you could take a better ship without a shadow of a doubt. And if you took something like the Starfarer, it could be gathering fuel while you're gathering mining nodes, or if you just had a cargo ship, so
I gotta wonder how good the Starfarer is good at collecting loose cargo. Like, then say the prospectors drop their boxes, then you have to collect it and stick it in there, as opposed to being able to land on a landing pad and actually move the boxes over. That seems much more.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the process.
Okay, I get your point. I get your point now. Yeah. No. Yeah. I think about the size of the Endeavour and how it moves and stuff. I don't know. I guess that's a wait and see. We're gonna have to If the Endeavour's not doing anything drastic, like it's not farming or something, so if it's just got general research pods and that can still keep doing what it's doing, potentially. I don't know. The cost of moving the Endeavour would be the key factor there when I work that through.
If you keep it there long enough to get a full supply of good ore, Prospect is the best at cherry picking. You could get a very valuable load, potentially.
You really could. As I said, when I break it down, it's just the cost of moving the Endeavour. But if you used it as a storage container and another ship came and picked it up, so if it was just literally the middleman, so to speak, and it was just somewhere to keep dropping your cargo boxes off with the
I see it.
I can see it working that way.
Acting as like a small mobile base. I mean, it can support some fighters for escort. You can do all the refueling, perhaps even light repairs. The scanning range could probably pick something up before it even comes close to the operating area. I think altogether it's a well-rounded package. Starfarer is like, you go out with a couple of prospectors, do a bit of mining. Endeavour is more like a small mobile base where you could do a more serious operation.
I would fundamentally, I kind of agree with what Bennett Gross just said in chat there, actually. Like, I think there are better options at the end of the day, and if you're looking at price, wouldn't you just put an Orion with a Prospector or something like that? But
you say that, but
if they're the two ships that he wants, then do it. But I think there are better options, but I'm just going to leave it at that.
I think if you discount the Endeavour is not useful just as a cargo ship. I mean, just if you want to use the hangar purely for cargo, like 9,000 SCU in cargo, and you say it's not worth taking out just for that, I got to disagree. I think
we don't know the cost of. We don't know the cost of moving it, because, to give you an example, say you took something. Yeah, I guess the convenience is the way you can unload it is really convenient, but depending on the size, like
Endeavour is about the same size as a Hull D, right? It has half the cargo capacity of a Hull D, and that's not even including putting on fuel pods, which it doesn't have to, share the amount of fuel you take out to go with it. It's completely, independent in that way. I see it as a very versatile, and even as a cargo runner, it's one of those ships you can do cargo running in, and it should be very good at it.
I can see we're trying to convince each other here, and it's never going to work. The point I'm trying to make real quick though is, say there was like we don't know how big that Endeavour's going to grow to. So if it grows bigger than an Idris, then all of a sudden the Idris becomes a better option than the Endeavour. Do you know what I mean? Just say speculatively it got bigger than the not the Endeavour, the Idris. The Endeavour got bigger than the Idris. The Idris would be better like that because the Prospector could land inside the Idris and unload its cargo. So I think there's a little bit wait and see there. But at the moment, the safe bet is that I think there are better options. I'm not saying the Endeavour's a crap ship because I own it and I think it's freaking fantastic. But just between the Prospector and the Endeavour, I think at the moment it's too hard to call that until we know. And I think that the safer bet is to go with a more standardised cargo ship. And there's probably better options, especially if you're going straight into mining. Like I can see an Orion working a lot better with a Prospector than an Endeavour with a Prospector. I think I'll leave it there, but you have your say.
I see more of it not as one working with another, but more as one as a support platform, whilst the Starfarer is purely just a refueler. And so like, I see a support platform as being so multifaceted that I got to disagree. But we should probably
you know where I would agree with you is if you had multiple prospectors.
Well, I said two or more, absolutely.
Yeah. If you had multiples, I'd definitely agree with you. Cool. All right, we'll leave it at that then. Next question.
Okay. How do you like the Hull series now after seeing what was shown in the ATV? I was already in love with the hulls, and I'm just more so just like drooling and fawning over it just more. It's like the hulls I see as the backbone of all industry. When you start scaling up and playing with large groups of people, there's always going to be a demand for hulls to work with, whether it be an Orion or a Reclaimer, or you're moving farming produce, or at the end of the day, or even a military moving around for resupply and refueling. As soon as you scale up large enough, they become indispensable, and they work with all industries and all militaries and all groups. So I got a pet love for them.
I really see there being these huge freight trains, or like convoys, almost like akin to people going out to the Wild West back in the day, and you'll have maybe 2 or 3 Hull E's and, a Banu and a whole bunch of ships defending this massive convoy, and taking this trek across the sky type of thing, or through space. I can see that, like big orgs just working together in this huge big team, and I reckon it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, the hulls are the team players. They're the glue that makes everything stick together, and I think that sums it up well.
Yeah, I think it's another reason why we're probably seeing cargo as gameplay first, because everything else seems to work around it, and I think every other industry kind of needs cargo if you really do the math. Probably 1 or 2 that doesn't, but
I'd like to know if they weren't. I mean, maybe info running at best, because but then that's a form of cargo in itself, isn't it?
Yep. and then even if you look at like that'll probably still need fuel, so it touches cargo.
Yep, that's right.
So, yeah.
Have to meet up with the Starfarer because there's no refueling points. It's like
All right, next question.
Clayton Allen Carr asks, the Endeavour was sold in the past with bundles like the Hope. This time it was not. Do you remember how it was sold last sale? Did we have the bundles? Yes, we did have the bundles last year. There were 4 years. They did the Hope, the Discovery, and the Master Set, and there was another one, wasn't it?
Olympus,
yeah, the Olympus. That was farming, wasn't it?
Yep. I don't know how you get Olympics out of farming, but okay.
I have to say, you didn't save much by getting the bundles. No. It wasn't very much, and you still have the option of getting an Endeavour with an LTI token and getting that, and then getting the 5-year one. So you're not too badly put off. It may be it came down to less than maybe about 7% of the savings. It was not very incredibly generous, but I got to admit, like, I'm not sure why they didn't put it on sale. It's sort of like last year, they put the bundles on, but then they forgot the Endeavour modules, and then a couple of days later they go, oh sorry, we forgot those, and then they put them up. Maybe they just forgot to do that this year, the other way around,
Yeah. Look, I think they probably also realised that most people weren't buying them because you can get the LTI token, and if you can get the LTI token on the ship, I just kind of wish they you could upgrade into modules and stuff. So if you had LTI tokens, you could use them on modules and stuff. But you know, it kind of comes back to what we were talking earlier. I just really hate how things are locked down. I'm in a bit negative mood about it, and I know I keep going over it, so I'll skip over it. But yeah,
let's try to keep positive for the day.
Stay positive. But yeah, it gets me down. We'll just leave it at that.
Merlin 007 asks, Warbond versus game credits difference is usually 10% discount. Say you don't have game credits available and you have to buy with dollars. What if you buy land $100 each and melt and use those credits for CCUs? Look, if I had a whole bunch of money to stick into South Citizen now, I might buy a couple land claims and just melt them and then buy the other things I need. There's nothing wrong with that. That's certainly a good way of speculating. Maybe it'll become something. Maybe it might be worth that $100. But with war bonds, it's not always a 10% discount. I mean,
I'm actually gonna. I don't know if I said this the other day. I'm kind of speculating they're not going to take land claims out of the store, as in I think they're going to stay there after the sale.
Yep.
Because they didn't mention them leaving, and every other one they mentioned them ending on like the 4th of December or whatever. So I've got a sneaking suspicion they ain't leaving the store.
Yeah. Because I look at last year's anniversary sale. They saw the Polaris War Bond at $625. That's essentially a 17% discount. And there's other packs like the Terrapin Carrack Explorer pack, which was $495, and it came with a Dragonfly and a game package. The savings on that was above 23%. I might do the math right now, actually, if you want me to. Execute, do you want to perhaps go on and talk about a little bit about
that? Maybe I should try and answer another question while you do that.
Okay, well, I'll answer another question. Tricky asks, I have a Retaliator bomber. I'm not sure what I should do with it. Should I hold on to it and wait for a potential rework or CCU to something better?
I have a Retaliator bomber, and last year at the sale, I brought an upgrade to a Carrack. I hope that answers your question. No, I'll be a bit more detailed. Look, I find the Retaliators in a bit of a weird spot. I see the Retaliator as a weekend craft. Because it's exclusively bombing, so to speak. I know this. I'll go on about the other modules in a second, but in its bombing state, you'll only use it as a weekender ship. If you were to use it as cargo, you'd want to do highly valuable cargo in kind of stealth runs because of the profile of the Aegis ships. We know they're gonna have a default stealth profile. So the only other way you could use the Retaliator is a highly illegal. Like, I was talking about my drug lab, you could use it to run drugs because it's going to be harder to define and catch. But as recommendations have been upgrading it to something else, that is totally viable. But I can't make that call for you because you have to pick what gameplay you want to go into. So if you want to go into, like as I said, I made mine into a Carrack. If you want exploration, you could go into that. If you want to go into reclaiming, you could go into that. Or as we said earlier on the week, the Orion's in a really good spot at the moment. Didn't go up in price. That would be a good upgrade to go. But, excuse me, I got hiccups again. You need to decide what gameplay you want to go into and go into the ship around that. But my personal opinion from the Retaliator is it's in a weird spot. Unless you're really into... My opinion would be this. Don't look at it as a bomber. Look at it as a stealth cargo ship for highly valuable illegal goods. If you can answer yes to that question, as it important to you, then keep it. If not, look at something better that is tailored to what you want to do.
With the Retaliator in general, I think of it as like a multi-crew, multi-purpose constellation that can also do a very, very specific dedicated military role, like a dropship on torpedo-based launching. So like it's not one of those pure military ships, but it is also a pure military ship. There's advantages and disadvantages against that. But then again, I think with the introduction of the Eclipse and the introduction of the Polaris and now the Hammerhead, all of those sort of touch on what were once the strengths of the Retaliator. And I'm starting to think maybe if you only think of it as a pure military investment, I'm thinking there's perhaps better ways to go. Because I actually own 2 Retaliator bombers right now.
Yeah.
and I'm currently in the process of, I think I just want to CCU them straight to hammerheads.
It's really interesting you mention the Eclipse and the Polaris, because they really have rained on its parade, so to speak. Yeah, well, when you look at it, you could have two Eclipses, like to get to the same type of payload as a Retaliator. You have two Eclipses, but it only takes two pilots, as opposed to the one pilot for Retaliator and all the gunners. That's just, I'd take the two Eclipses. I know it costs more, but once you, like, after the game's released, it's not going to be a money thing. It's really going to be
people buy those Eclipses in game with very little effort, you know.
Yeah, people are going to be the resource in this game, not money. And so getting real pilots, like, if you probably could have 6 Eclipses to 1 Retaliator. The Retaliator is a dead dodo. Unfortunately, unless you put like automatic modules into the turrets, and then again, as soon as you do that, you're better on to move on to something like a Polaris or whatever. It's really unfortunate, because early on I really loved this ship.
I still like the Retaliator. It's just that when I've got to think about I need this, and I've got to put it into a larger fleet plan. I think, am I really going to use this that often? Is some other resources more important in that lineup? I've started to have my doubts, even though I really like this ship.
Yeah, it's because it's an older ship, and it's kind of like we said about the Freelancer Max yesterday. They announced this variant before they had other things like the Hull and the series and that in place, and now it's kind of a variant that you almost wish that just give you a refund on and say, look, this is not worth our effort. Because there's only one thing we found for that Freelancer Max, wasn't it? And that was to restock
Idris.
But nice. You can do it with Hull B. You can do it with a Hull B, and it's already got more cargo. So it's like,
I still like it because, you know, I like the Max.
Yeah, I know. I just that's another ship. Unfortunately, they're crisscrossing a lot of their designs, and I'm worried. I'm just kind of worried a lot of ships are going to kind of become redundant. Like, I feel the Retaliator is coming slightly redundant, unless they push it into that stealth cargo area, because there's no other ship that's stealth cargo.
I did the math. Sorry, keep going.
No, go. I finished.
I did the math on the UE Explorer pack, which was a Carrack and Terrapin and Dragonfly and game package and Squadron 42, I believe. It's basically, I was right, exactly 23% discount by buying that pack, and even that was before the price on both of those ships probably go up. Like, now the Carrack is worth 400 instead of 350. The Terrapin's probably going to go up in price. Dragonfly will go up in price. After 3.0 and 3.1, I'm going to look back at those packages and go, I should unmelt a couple of those, shouldn't I? I'm happy I've got a couple in buyback. They're a very nice package. But the thing is, CIG do occasionally do amazing offers with very strong discounts. They don't do it often. Normally they sit around the 12 to 15% at best mark, but there have been occasions where they've had 23%, and I don't think that's the only one. I think there's maybe the Caterpillar with 2 Dragonflies pack was also really good. They went well above 15%. It was closer to 20% of a discount, especially now that the Caterpillar's gone up in price by $50. It's a very good buy.
Yeah, with the sorry, I just read a question here, and I've done a mental blank. What were you talking about? Sorry, go over it again.
Game packages and discounts, 23%.
Oh, we didn't see. That's the question I had. Game packages this sale. We didn't see any game packages this sale.
I think they're selling that on Friday or something. One of the days. It's very late in the sale, or maybe the last day they're saving.
They're doing the discount. They're doing discount game packages, but they're the starter ship discounts. They're not like for example, we didn't see an Armada pack this year.
No, but I think they sold that for the holiday sale last time. Like they didn't sell the standalone Idris and Javelins the same time they did the Armada pack. I think they separated that into a different sale. I can't remember, but I think I remember that how that was, because the Armada pack was sold later in the year, not during the Anniversary Sale, I believe. If I'm wrong, someone correct me. You want to do the next question?
Yeah, go for it. Shoot.
Okay. What about the QSAR variant of the Hull E? Is that one of the military ones? I will Google that. Or do you want to Google that?
I don't remember. I don't even know how to spell it because I don't even find it.
I'll tell you.
I didn't know there was a military.
Google it. QUASAR. There was military variants.
QUASAR. SAR.
Hull D.
Hull
Okay.
C.
Hull D. Yeah, okay. Okay, next question. Did Caterpillar versions increase in price yet since concept? Yes, the original Caterpillar price was $245, and when it went flight ready, it went up to $295. So it's a $50 increase for that ship.
Do you want me to read it?
Yep.
I found it. So it says, about the Hull D. I started my career as a hull gunner on a Ram Kusar, the military version of the... Oh, wait, hang on. This is a quote thing, so I need to go... Sorry. There's just a quote of a guy... There's literally just a quote of a guy talking that he started out on a military variant. That is all there is on this
What
page.
I remember about the military variants is that they have a lot of armor on them. They have a lot of extra weapons and sort of generators and shield generators, and they have refueling. So they're essentially a heavily armored battery, but also have logistical supplies like ammunitions, parts, and refueling built into it, and that the military would use it for their expeditions into dangerous space.
You know what I'm speculating? This is just totally speculating. I'm reading a forum post here on it, right? Because I can't find any hard information. I've checked 4 pages, but basically, you know, in some of the concept pictures, you see the metal plates at the end of the cargo. That might be the military variant because it kind of protects the cargo. But yeah, all there is that I can find, and it's come up 4 times, is this quote of a guy that starts his career as a gunner on the Ram, so it's R4M, that's what they call it, Ram Kusar, the military conversion of the Misc Hull D, and went on to command a lifter crew for 9 years. Supporting border actions and anti-piracy patrols. Got into more scrapes than I can count, and blah, blah, blah. He just goes on. But the fact that they've named it in law makes me think they're going to have a military variant, which does that... That's interesting because we might see another combination between Misc and Aegis again.
Oh, it's possible, but they've also talked about them being modular enough that you can put extra turrets on, you can put armor plating on, you can put extra power generators and shield generators in using the cargo.
Oh, it'd just be cool because Misc, if you look at the law on the Gemini, the Misc is not a military manufacturer, so they worked with Aegis, and Aegis made the Gemini. So I'd like to... That'd be really cool to see a variant for the whole D that is military based. And I'd say if you were to look at any of the whole series, the D is the one the E is the one you'd think you'd put it on because it's the bigger one. But maybe due to its size, the military goes with the D. Be interesting to see. I think that if that is to happen, we might see that after they've done the D.
Merlin asks, can you recommend any good CCU for the Hammerhead and Polaris without buying the Warbond Hammerhead? Speaking of executes looking at buying the Warbond Hammerhead and CCing to a Polaris, speak of the devil.
Yeah,
we were talking about it before the show. Yeah, but if you if it's not recommended, better get a Warbond Hammerhead. Look, if you want,
it becomes so much more expensive if you don't.
It's $100, and you can do it right now. I do recommend it. It is the easiest thing to do. The next thing up would be to CCU from like a Hawk, upgrade to a Reclaimer, buy a Reclaimer to Polaris CCU, and then melt it. Or in reverse, melt the Hammerhead to Polaris CCU, and then buy the Hawk and upgrade to a Reclaimer. The reason I state that is a good buy is because the Reclaimer is going to go up by about $100. The $50 was just a little tease before it's actually flight ready. And it's definitely going to go up to $150, and it's still definitely going to be under that $650 mark. There's no way it's going to go up to $650. And you can use that. I think it's only going to be about $100. That's my guess, of course. But you can use that to then discount that Polaris by after the Reclaimer goes in 3.1. Buy back the Reclaimer to Polaris. Does he want a Polaris or? Yeah, Polaris CCU, because there's no way you go up to 750. That's really high for a Reclaimer. But then you can discount that by $100. But at the same time, if you want something simple and you want it now, the Hammerhead Warbond, and if you're going to put the money into Star Citizen anyway, that is the best deal going right at this moment. It's got like it's done. It's in your hangar. There's no timing involved. Like if you lose track of Star Citizen and things move ahead. If you just want certainty now, that's $100 off the Polaris. You can get it for $650. I think that's the way I would go.
The only other kind of, you know, where you're talking about going via the reclaimer method, is I'd possibly add going from a reclaimer to a hammerhead and then a hammerhead to Polaris, just to leave your options open.
Yeah, that's possible too. Like, there's nothing stopping you buying the Polaris in 2 jumps, going from reclaimer to hammerhead and then going to Polaris. And that way you can sit on your laurels and wonder which ship is better and
end up with the one you want.
End up with the one you want, exactly.
Yeah. All right, next question.
Should one wait for packages before investing money into the game right now? For instance, Endeavour variances, since they can be made into LTI base plus modules that are part of it. They do not allow you to CCU into the Endeavour packages. They will only offer it as a package in 5-year insurance. They've done this on previous sales. I mean, they're not even selling them now, but let's say miraculously 2 days from now they say, oh, we forgot to sell those, and they add them. They are standalone packages. They do not offer you CCUs to be able to make an LTI package out of it. So no, you can't do that, even if they do suddenly sell them.
And if you get LTI for very little extra cost, then take the LTI. A lot of people, we're not quite sure on where LTI is going to land, but at this point,
I don't think it's going to be as important as everyone's saying. But if it doesn't cost you anything but effort and time,
yeah,
it's worth it.
This is what you're talking about the other day, yeah. And that's what I was trying to alliterate. I was saying what you were talking about the other day, yeah. If it doesn't cost you any extra, why wouldn't you? And as we said about the modules earlier, being able to customize the modules that you actually want rather than taking the modules that they've given you in packs is probably a better option.
This is so many questions. Just a
warning. No, there's nothing wrong with that.
We need to end this stream in 6 minutes because I have to go to work. But I'm going to record all the questions and we'll answer them tomorrow. Okay?
Yep.
So maybe this will be the last question. Merlin asks...
Well, 10 minutes how long we've got.
Yeah. CCU strategy will save you money as you move up into bigger cap ships, but as a medium-sized ships to finally start releasing, we will probably not be able to apply this since we can't downgrade in a CCU. Well,
that's correct.
It depends. You should always have a clear vision, an idea of what you actually want. If there's a ship you want now, plan for it. But if you're in a constant mode of speculation and just trying to keep as many options open as you can, is that really a plan? That seems more like I just want to try and save money and make advantages, you know?
The other side of the coin here is what we've stated previously. If you've got a bunch of small ships, you're better to melt them and get one larger ship, in my opinion. The larger you go, the more value you're going to get in the game. They've stated on a number of occasions, something like the Idris, though it costs, what, $1,200 or whatever now, when it comes out, it'll be worth a whole lot more than that. And they've even said the bigger the ships go now, the more value they're going to have when the game comes out. Like, it's going to scale a lot further. So, if you think of something like the Aurora, that's going to be really easy to earn in game. Where something... you know, you look at a Hull C, for example, that'll take, you know, a while to earn. They've stated the Constellation, I think it was to go from the ship under, so they said from the Freelancer to the Constellation would take 60 hours to earn in-game.
The other thing is that I would advocate that taking advantage of price increases is only useful if you had a plan for somewhere you want to be in the first place and you're shooting towards that goal. Stocking price increase CCUs for the sake of it, so... for possible, you know, that's not a good plan. A plan has to have an ending goal, and you know, I don't advocate abusing CCUs just for the sake of it. I advocate setting a goal and working towards it. You know, that's what I see these being useful for. And if you just want to speculate for the sake of speculating, I mean, like, okay, but that's I see that as a waste of my time.
There's pros and cons to everything. You just got to weigh out what's best for you. That's really what this always comes back to in this game. How much money you have, what you want to do, how many friends you have. You need to work this out for yourself. Like, we can only advise on what is best overall. We can't tailor everything. If you want it tailored to your situation, you have to come and talk to us in Discord after the show or whatever.
And like I said,
I'll be there. Hayes will be heading off, but any question that I can't answer, I will pass on to Hayes, and again, he will get back to you.
Yeah, it comes down to the idea, keeping options open is good, but like at the end of the day, you should be making a plan and working towards that, and that's what these sort of mechanisms can help you do.
And your plan evolves too. Like, and like we've been saying the last couple of days, like our plan originally was for ourselves, and it's now changing into this org plan because we've kind of clicked. Oh, wait, hang on, we've all got similar ships, and we're going to be working together.
Many people will like mine saying, "Oh, well, you've already got this, and I've got this." And we play all the time, and we're best friends, and we do stuff together. Maybe we should start seeing ourselves as a group as opposed to individuals.
It's like I heard this. There was a guy who's talking about, oh, he didn't want to consolidate his smaller ships and get one big one because then if he lost one, he would be with no ships. But the thing is, if you've got a bunch of friends, you'll be on one of their ships. So what does it matter? You know, so like, you know, if you've got the mining ship and he's got the Carrack or whatever, and whatever those big ships are, you'll be able to cycle through each other's ships. So
focus more on working together than, you know, doing everything yourself. You know, it makes a lot of sense, and playing together is more fun than playing by yourself anyway. It's like,
look what Bennett Gross just put in chat. Wow,
21 Pioneers.
21
I'm surprised
Pioneers
they
left.
sold. I thought the demand was already out from like a couple of weeks back.
I feel it looked like a South Park character.
But then again, are these Pioneers Warbond only? I'm not sure. They were limited ship.
No, I thought they were,
the
insurance.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Wow.
One more question, because we've got a minute left on the clock. If you melt an applied CCU to use store credit elsewhere, does the CCU show up in your buybacks? Yes, it does. That's correct.
Yes, but the price will change to whatever it is currently.
But then again, if you bought a CCU for a ship that's already flight ready, it won't change in price anyway. So, but if it's an unreleased ship and you leave it in the hangar, then yeah, that's a little more risky. But yeah, certainly unapplied CCUs, when you melt them, you can buy them back. It's only when you apply a CCU to a ship and then you melt that ship as a whole, you only get to keep the base ship, but the CCU is then lost.
Yeah, I'm just going to say a reply to Bennett Gross. We here at the Inforunners do not endorse the selling of your own kidneys to fund ships.
Oh, yes. You might want that kidney later in life.
Maybe blood and sperm donations, but not kidneys. That'll be fine. You know, not too serious. All right. Have we got time for one more? Oh, no, we're right on 12 o'clock. So Hayes has to get off to work.
Can you just drop the Discord link in the channel? If you have further questions,
it'll still be in yours from yesterday, bro. If you scroll up, but I'll do it again. Nonetheless, hang on. Getting it now. Sorry, everyone.
Yeah, we're sorry, guys. We
really need to organise this better.
We left this a little late. Execute one to sleep in.
Yeah, I had a really late night. Sorry. And it's really hot here. I wish you guys, because we kind of live on the other side of the world, so you're starting to go cold. We're starting to get really hot, and our heat here is a lot more worse than it is in other places, and it's a hard thing to explain. I've got a lot of ozone problems down here. All right. Okay. So that was a great episode.
If you want to ask,
I'll be in this.
Yeah, questions. Even at work, I'll look at the text, and I might text back in my breaks and my free time. But I'm going to save all the questions we didn't answer today, and we'll answer them first thing tomorrow at the end of the stream. Perhaps we could start a little earlier. Yeah. Yep.
I should be fine with that because I'm going to be tired as hell today, so I'll end up going to bed early. So that'll be fine. We'll get onto those tomorrow. Looking forward to Drake. Looking forward to the happy hour. So we might even, happy. Like,
it depends how late they leave it. Yeah, I hope they don't leave it too late. We'll see. Either way, Dyson should be on, and he should be able to record even if I can't. So we'll be set.
Cool. Well, he's been studying, so he's been busy boy. He's doing his thing, so hopefully he'll be back. And all right, no worries. Well, I've been Execute, and this is
Hayes. If you like the show, please upvote us on the YouTube, and we always like to read your comments. Check out our Discord if you want particular CCU advice. We can do one-on-one based talks on there. So as always,
as I said, if I can't answer for you today, I'll get Hayes to ask it and get back to you. All right, no worries. Have a
Catch
good one.
you around and see you tomorrow.